Hello guys, welcome back to Wednesday's lesson, halfway through the week. Well done. So today we are going to look at our creative writing again. So can you please write your title, your date, and your learning objective, which is I will read a piece of descriptive writing so I can plan my own. Pause the video and get that down for me now, please. Okay, that means you're ready to complete your do now. So I would like you to answer these questions in full sentences. The first four are asking you what the four different paragraphs are for our creative writing. And then I want you to write 3 fronted adverbials. Remember, an adverb is a word that describes a verb. Pause the video and complete these tasks in full sentences now, please. Okay, if you're back, that means you are ready to make your corrections. Give it a tick or give it a cross, but just make sure you write the correct answer. It's okay to make mistakes as long as we learn from them. All right, the first paragraph is our zoom out. Second is our zoom in. The third is our character. And the fourth is our change or challenge. And here are some adverbs that you could use. Quickly, slowly, anxiously, joyfully, and bravely. Often the giveaway is ly at the end of each of the fronted adverbials. If you didn't manage to get any down, just copy 3 of these. If you did manage to get these down, but they're not the same as the ones on the screen and you're not sure if they're right, just mention that when you send your work in and I can double check those for you. Pause the video and make any corrections now, please. Okay, so before you left for Christmas, we made a chant for each of our paragraphs to help us remember what each paragraph needs to include. So we're going to remind ourselves of that chant now. So we have zoom out, where we talk about mood, weather, and 2 main items. We have our zoom in, we talk about the character's position, the features of the zoom in, and the character's reaction to the zoom in. We have the character paragraph, which includes the character's feeling, their physical features, and a hint at the change or challenge. And that paragraph includes the character's emotion, their reaction, and also a detail of whatever has changed or whatever is a challenge. So what we're going to do is I am going to say the paragraph name, so either zoom out, zoom in, character, change, a challenge, and then you are going to say to yourself, either out loud or in your head if you're working at school, mood, weather, or items. So for example, I'll say zoom out and you'll say mood, weather, items. Let's do this now. Okay, zoom out. Excellent, you should have said mood, weather, and items. Zoom in. You should have said position, features, reaction. Character. Excellent, you should have said feeling, physical, and hint. Now change or challenge. Excellent, you should have said emotion, reaction, and detail. And these are going to help us remember our paragraph structure. And we're going to look in more detail at each paragraph again today. So, with that being said, on Show My Homework, there is a Word document with this title, Descriptive Writing Model, then in brackets it says Storm. So can you pause the video now and open that Word document for me, please, before coming back to the video? Okay, so you should have the Word document open and it looks exactly like this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go through each paragraph together and we're going to highlight where the paragraph in the box does each step of the checklist. And we've done this before, so you guys should be excellent at this. Okay, let's do our first paragraph. So this is our zoom out checklist here. These are the things that we have to do in our zoom out paragraph. And this is what I have written. Let's read this together. A sense of doom overwhelmed the sky. Loudly, the thunder roared like a furious lion above. A huge ship pushed through the crashing waves as the storm began in the dim sky. Proudly, a large pewter grey rock stood and poked out of the sea. Desperately trying to find safety, a stressed sailor scurried across the deck of the ship. Okay, what I would like you to do now is pause the video, go to the Word document and use the highlighter to match up each item in the checklist to the model paragraph. So let's just do the first one together. Let me grab a highlighter. So the first item in the checklist is to describe the mood. Now, if I look at my paragraph, I've said that the mood is a sense of doom that overwhelms the sky. Okay, so pause the video now and carry on by highlighting the checklist and highlighting the model paragraph before coming back to the video to make any corrections. Okay, you should be back now and you should have a highlighted zoom out checklist. So let's go through it together. Please make sure you are changing it in the Word document if you have made any mistakes. So the next step is to describe the weather using a simile. And I have done that here. I said that the thunder roared like a furious lion above. And the word that gives this away, that it's a simile, is like. Okay, next one in my checklist is to describe two main items. So I have described the huge ship which pushes through the crashing waves as the storm begins, and I have also described the pewter grey rock that stood and poked out of the sea. And my final part is to describe the character's movement towards one item. My character is the sailor and they are moving across the deck of the ship. So let's highlight that. Okay, yours should look exactly like this now. If it doesn't, that's okay, but just pause the video, go back to the Word document and check and make sure it is correct. Okay, you should be back now with a perfectly matched up checklist and paragraph. Let's move on to our zoom in. So I've used this checklist to produce this paragraph. Let's read it together. The pale man stood at the front of the damaged ship. Sadly, the mahogany brown wood on the ship had become damp and brittle. As the gusts of wind were so powerful, the ruby red flag was ripped and frayed. Standing next to the wheel of the ship, it seemed like it would break off completely at any second. The petrified sailor stood by the wheel and watched the ship slowly die. Okay, same again. Pause the video, open the Word document and highlight the checklist and match it up to the paragraph. Okay, you should have a highlighted checklist and paragraph. Let's go through it together. So, first step is to describe the character's position, and as I can see from my paragraph, the man is standing at the front of the damaged ship. My second step is to describe two features of one of the main items. So the zoom in is focusing on the ship, and I want to describe two features of that ship. So I have described the wood that has become damp and brittle. Remember, brittle means that something is hard, but it's actually quite easy to break. And I've also described the ruby red flag, which was ripping and it was fraying, which means there was loads of like strings of fabric hanging out of it. I have a standing next to it seen sentence next, and I have written, standing next to the wheel of the ship, it seemed like it would break off completely at any second. And my final step is to describe the character's reaction. My petrified sailor stood by the wheel and watched the ship slowly die. Okay, pause the video now and make sure that your Word document looks like this. Okay, if you're back, that means we are ready to complete our character checklist. So again, I've used this checklist to produce this paragraph. The sailor was overwhelmed with terror. His wide emerald green eyes scanned the ship for an escape route. Hurriedly, he rose to his trembling feet to flee the sinking ship. The more he listened to the shrieks of his fellow sailors, the more sweat poured down his forehead. Without warning, a ginormous wave swooped over the ship. Okay, pause the video now and do the same process. Highlight the checklist and match it up with the paragraph. Okay, if you're back, that means you are ready to check your work. So, describing the character's main feeling is my first step, and I have said that the sailor was overwhelmed with terror. Okay, and then I've described two physical features of the character. Remember, physical means what they look like, something that you can actually see on them. So I have described his wide emerald green eyes, which were scanning for a route of escape. And I've also described his trembling feet. Okay. Next up is a the more sentence. And for this paragraph I've written, the more he listened to the shrieks of his fellow sailors, the more sweat poured down his forehead, because I can imagine he's incredibly terrified right now. And then my final step is to hint at my change or my challenge. And I've written that without warning, a huge wave has swooped over the entire ship. Okay, pause the video now and go back to the Word document if you need to make any corrections. Okay, if you are back, that means you're ready to complete our change or challenge checklist. Let's have a read of the paragraph together. As the front of the ship began to sink into the navy blue water, the man began to panic. The frightened sailor lost her breath, I should say his breath, because it's a man, and began to scream. Now his emerald green eyes now closed to stop the tears from falling. The mast toppled over and slapped against the surface of the water. The storm was too powerful. Okay, final paragraph. Pause the video. Go to the Word document and highlight and match up the checklist with the paragraph. Okay, let's make our corrections together. So step 1 is to introduce the change or challenge with an emotion. And we can see here, as the front of the ship began to sink into the navy blue water, that's obviously the challenge. And the emotion is that the man began to panic. Next up, we have the character's reaction. And the sailor is frightened, therefore they lost their breath and began to scream. Next, we use a repeated idea. Remember, a repeated idea is something that we've mentioned in an earlier paragraph that we are going to mention again now. And I have written that his emerald green eyes that were once scanning for an escape route are now closed because he's trying to stop the tears from falling. Next, I need to describe a detail about the change or challenge. What's actually happening? And I've said that the mast has toppled over and slapped against the surface of the water. And finally, I have used a simple sentence for dramatic impact. And obviously, it's the final sentence right at the bottom here. The storm was too powerful. Okay, pause the video now and make any corrections before coming back to the video for our final task. Okay, so now what I would like you to do is practice planning. Remember at school we used to use those tables and we'd practice planning a response. So wherever you're writing, can you please write a description of a fun fair as your subheading? So just write that on the page somewhere. Okay, now you have that written down. What we're going to do is we are going to make a bullet point plan for this question using the checklist and the model answer to help you. So it's really important that you keep the Word document open on your screen so you can make your plan. What I mean by a bullet point plan is, so you've got your piece of paper here. So you've got your subheading up here, and then you want to write your 4 paragraphs. So I'm going to zoom out. Oh, don't know what happened there. That always happens. It's very annoying. You want to write zoom out as your subheading because that is the title of the first paragraph. And then looking at the checklist, you can see that you need to describe the mood, the weather, 2 main items, and the character's movement. So I'm going to do 4 little bullet points. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to write each of my ideas next to that. And then I repeat the same process for a zoom in, a challenge, and then a character, and then a change or challenge. So what I'd like you to do now is you can click off the video, close the video down, open the Word document with the model paragraph and the checklist that you just highlighted and complete a plan. Okay, and here's a picture to inspire you, and you can also Google other pictures of fun fairs to help you. Please don't forget that at the end of the lesson you need to send me a picture of your work from today, but also you need to send me the Word document that you have highlighted. I'll say that again. You need to send me a picture of your written work from today, and you also need to send me the Word document that you have highlighted. Okay, good luck making your plan. I look forward to seeing it, and I will speak to you in tomorrow's lesson.